So my name is Ross Charters from Complete Preservation, and I sign like a farmer, so I hope you can lip read. Today it is drains and technology, or technology and drains even. Drains and technology. So the importance of drains is really, really important, obviously about sanitation. So I'm going to use Bazalgette as this one. So he did all the extensive sewer works in London, which is still there today. And you can see him there, standing over like that. I do exactly the same when I've done a drain repair. It's also said that he checked all the connections, because the problem with it all, it wasn't ever done properly. And that is why it was imperative he took that on himself to do it all properly. So, drains and damp. I can't talk about drains without talking about damp. This is going to be some slides from 1849 and 1850, Bristol and Gloucester. I couldn't find Wiltshire where I'm from, so we've only got Bristol and Gloucester. But what you can actually see, if you can read where there's an underline in there, you've got dwellings generally very damp, one house too damp for occupation. And what we're trying to get across here as well, everybody used to make out these beautiful little cottages. They were so dry. They never had any damp before modern intervention. It's a load of waffle. This is exactly what was going on. When you look at all this stuff, you can see it on there. They're extremely damp. Only one habitable on account of the dampness to the walls. Avon Square, the houses are very damp. The hamlet of Littleworth, surface drainage, the houses are damp. St James Place, frequently flooded, inefficiency of the drains. You got another one there, but the house is still flooded. They'd even done some repairs to the culverts, bodged it up, still had problems. And this was what it was, generally you get the same thing all the way. So this was done by a superintendent inspector. So he was basically commissioned to go and check everything, like go in all the houses. It's really interesting. I need to do a longer video of it because I've got a load of books of this stuff. And if this interests you and you're that boring, it is interesting. Again, imperfectly drained, bad drainage, house is always damp, frequently underwater, pumping out the cellars twice a day. And you go on and on and on. But this is the reality. This is about 1900. In old buildings, it is almost safe to say that unless the drains have been relaid or repaired since the building was erected, they will be found to be defective. This is due to the fact that drains used to be laid without supervision, were unjointed, badly laid or constructed, and were seldom intercepted from the sewer. In many cases, where the drains are fairly deep, the paving's good, and the defect's not bad enough for rats to get out of, it is difficult to prove the drain defective with ordinary tests. The symptoms already mentioned may also be present. So we're talking about ordinary tests. That was their tests. A little smoke machine. So they used to basically burn like a bit of cotton and try and puff it into the drain. So any of you were out there early on, you could see my little machine, which is so much better than that. Now, I'm not going to read this, but they used to test with, they said chemicals, but what they used to do was put like a pungent smell into like a little chamber and wash over it. Now, they would typically use peppermint oil. So you could just picture it now, 1850, there's a load of blokes led on the floor, sniffing the ground for peppermint oil, probably looking for a wormhole. Today, it is another level. You've seen some of that stuff out there. So I predominantly use the rigid cameras. They are amazing. Tilt sense. So basically, you've got an inclinometer in the camera, so it tells you the angle of the head of the drain, the camera. You've got Wi-Fi and report writing. You can send a report from site, and the app. It might just sound very basic, but an app, what you can actually do is the customers always want to look into the drain. They always want to look in the camera. They can be quite annoying, and obviously there's a bit of health and safety. They can download the app. They can record everything when they're there. They can stand 5 foot away, 10 foot away. Some people have the big crawlers, so they've got big sewers and they're tethered. They can use them. Obviously the smoke machines, locators for mapping and what have you, and still got pressure testing. Right, let's see if this video works. So there's me. I've took the sound out, and Lisa was petrified because there was no sound. So what I'm basically talking about here is you turn on the camera, the light comes on, and you can push it into the drain. You then turn on the sonde on there, what I'm pointing on, and literally the yellow thing, which is the locator, you walk along the ground of it, and it will tell you where you put the camera, you'll know where the defect is, and that will tell you how deep it is. Now that's really relevant because it could be 2 meters deep, it could be 1 meter deep. So that is a big thing about how much the cost is to repair it. And obviously that is part of fixing the job. The importance of looking down and trying to get an idea of drainage system. So everybody always says, look up. My thing is when you're looking for damp, I ain't interested up there because it's not really normally the gutters, it's normally down below. So if you've got new paths, if you've got lots of grass growing, it's really boggy, always look down. Try and work out where your drainage is. Is it combined? Is it soakaways? Is there some form of tank? Now this is me doing ground penetrating radar, and I was looking for some drains. I thought they were being in a certain place, and they weren't. So we don't always get it right. You know, I could admit to being a bit of an idiot and getting it wrong, but I look at all this sort of stuff when you're doing it. You get to the job, you're testing yourself, and that gives you that sort of, I find, like a sixth sense. So my tip is always just have a good look round, because I've done loads of videos where people put the whacker plates on the new paths and literally just blow the drains to pieces. And here we have smoke in a drain. And you see me, there's the drain camera and the smoke machine. I got so excited, I literally fell over. As you can see there, that is how excited I get about smoke coming out of a drain. So, did I really need that? No, I could have done a pressure test. But if you look at something like that and you're a customer and they can see it visually, it makes complete sense. You can see there's something wrong with the seal. Now, with this sort of smoke machine, the one out there, it generates a lot of pressure, and you can be consistent. If you're using like smoke pellets and stuff like that, trying to do that, that was about an 8 meter run, maybe 7 meter, you wouldn't be able to do it. So that bit of kit is worth investing in. But you can still do basic pressure tests, but they can be hard if you've got a soil and vent pipe and you can't cap it off, whatever, but you can still do them. People still use them. Drain dye. Fernco, I don't know how much that is, probably about 20 quid or something. It might just seem just a bit of drain dye, but actually it's fantastic. You can actually work out where the drain's going. You can also see, if you can flood the drains, you can see it going into subfloors. You can also see it go into cavities. So get yourself some drain dye. Like some of the cheaper stuff's about £5 or something. It's an absolute brilliant bit of kit. And visually, it really helps. The standards. The standards. What ones are relevant? So I've just picked the ones that I think, and this is my favourite British standard, BS 6576, and I expect all of you have got this in this room. So the code of practice for the diagnosis of rising damp, that's the basic nuts and bolts of it. So when we're looking at this, we go A to I, and this is what the best bit about it is, because what this does is, all other possible causes of damp conditions should be located, particular attention should be paid to. So this tells you all the stuff you've got to eliminate. So this is like your competency thing. And then we got D, faulty drains. So it makes it crystal clear, that's BS 6576. The next one, the PCA and RICS, CADU, SPAB, everyone else jumped on it a couple of years ago. But what the clear thing is in this title is investigation. Investigation of moisture. We then go to setting, how the building sits in its environment, and it goes on to say drainage. So that's the methodology us guys are all sort of like working to. And then here, 11, consider the influence of existing external ground levels, drainage. Again, the joint methodology. Understanding moisture. I've got to try and read this bit. Building services and drains. Nice bit of flood in there. And the report, the last bit, rainwater disposal. It's sort of like drainage again. So you can see in the joint methodology, that's been highlighted a number of times. BS8102, not my bag. I cannot stand waterproofing, but there is a waterproofing conference tomorrow, and it's going to be amazing. I'm sure there's lots of geeks there. But look at this here. I've just picked a couple little bits on there. So we've got J, arrangement. So this is inspection and survey for existing structures. Arrangement and condition of drainage systems, serving the property, condition of drains, use of soakaways. So 8102. We've also got the risk assessments. Obviously, you guys that are doing all the waterproofing, you're looking at the ground, the geology and everything, what's going on, and defective soakaways and sewers. So they're mentioning it again in 8102. BS 5250, management of moisture in buildings, code of practice. We got B, defects in the rainwater drainage system. And this is a good one. This is free. You can download this for nothing. Approved document H. It's got lots and lots of bits and bobs in there. Like I say, it's a free download. Download it, have a little nosy in there, and I'm sure you'll find some really good bits and bobs. BRE Digest 365. I know there's definitely a free download of this. This is really good because it deals about soakaways. So if you're trying to understand a building, and you're understanding ground conditions and clay and all of that sort of stuff, the percolation test, the science behind all this, it really does make sense. So again, download that and you'll understand, because we're talking about soakaways in a minute. Surveys and polls. So I've done this. This was based over about a year. 75% of homeowners I dealt with never had a drain survey at pre-purchase stage. I've never had a drain survey. But even before I'd done the drainage, I'd never had a drain survey. And I know loads of people have never done it. Now, if you pick these problems up prior to purchase, some of this stuff can be claimed on the insurance, so you can get your money back. And some of these drain surveys, if it's a small house, they're quite cheap. I'd done a poll on Instagram. 95% of people said no. 95%. So it's another 20%. Which I thought was quite crazy. Drain surveys. What are you getting when you get a drain survey? Some of them, they only just checking the foul. They're not doing anything else, where you've got the soakaways and etc., which we'll go on to now. So Doris, our Doris, she bought a property and she had an expert building surveyor that carries out level 3 building surveys. The surveyor found the property was suffering from rising damp. It does exist. And they recommended a drain camera survey. So this was carried out, and they only inspected the chamber back to the house. They found no issues. So because of that, Doris is a layperson, which a lot of people are, and now she thinks the damp that's rising from the walls isn't anything to do with the drains. Unfortunately, we've got to be a bit negative now. This is what I see quite a lot. Doris has 3 soakaways, and there is damage leading from the drain. And there's typical blockages, roots, and all that sort of stuff. So this is where it comes really, really disjointed, right? So if you could imagine now, that hand-holding has gone from the building surveyor. It's then gone to the drainage engineer, and the drain engineer's reported back there's no problems. So Doris doesn't know anything. So if you look at all this here now, this is where everybody needs to be specific, whether you're doing damp, waterproofing, or pre-purchase. You need to tell them exactly what they need to do. Ideally as well, even if you're not great at it, just pick up those reports and have a quick look through it, because you will learn and you will see where they've had restrictions, where this camera survey is aborted, and you will be able to understand what's going on. So make sure you instruct your client as part of the damp investigation. So repairs. Once a survey's been completed, sometimes you might have to carry repairs, and it could be a simple dig, or it could be a deeper one. So here, we are putting a patch repair in. So you can see there's a cellophane wrap around the patch, or packer, and we basically put like a sock around it, fill it with resin, and we put the sock over it, and then we pump it up to pressure. That goes into the drain, and it goes rock hard, and it stops any leaks. Now, they can be quite cheap to do. They can be a bit more expensive because there can be bits of risks involved with it all. But that is a brilliant repair. We carry out lots of these repairs. I've got one on the table out there. Lining with the Canon system. So, sped this up. This gives Lisa a heart attack as well. So what we're doing is we've got a load of resin and we've got a certain gauge we're running through a little machine to make sure it's all the way through the liner so we get consistency. There we're shooting it through with like a big cannon under compressed air. That goes 8 meters along the ground, I think it was roughly, and then we leave it in there for a couple of hours. With that one, what we can actually do, as you can see, it looks absolutely mint considering it's a right mess to drain. We can actually put like a heater in there to speed it up. It's a really good bit of equipment and it's perfect for what we use because I only do small works. I don't do big jobs with this sort of stuff. So for what I need, it's absolutely perfect. Look at that. What is it? That is the damp machine. So that was the first patented machine to cut in physical damp-proof courses. So that was, I think, about 1900, just 1905 or something, 1910. So obviously I can't talk about drains without talking about damp. So I just thought I'd chuck that in there for all the people that say, you know, misdiagnosis of rising damp. They used the wrong materials. This was way before that. So there we go. I've finished. Thanks for listening.